Dear Heavenly Father, forgive me for expecting you on perfection over obedience. Amen. Hello everybody and welcome back to Headbangers Cookbook. I wanted to start this section with this prayer because it's been a while since I made something for you, and that is because a lot of things have happened in my life. I got married, and I'm very happy for that. As you can see, I'm in a new kitchen because we moved. I switched profession, sort of, so now I'm in a waitress trainee. So a lot of stuff happens in my life, and it's been a tough walk for me to get back and to make something for you guys. And that's is maybe because I'm a kind of type that thinks that everything should be perfect. And in this couple of time, I have made some experience that it's not always true. Sometimes it's better to make just something, and then it may seem better for you guys that is seen for me. So forgive me guys for this long waiting. Now I'm back, and I want to show you some very exciting stuff today. A year ago, some of you wrote to me if I could make Danish frikadeller. That's a kind of a meatball, and it's actually the Danish national dish. And I want to show you the traditional way in Denmark to make it, but I also want to tell you a ground recipe for it. So you could take every kind of grounded meat, and then I will show you how much egg and how much flour you have to put in compared to a certain amount. And then the other is for free fun, because spices is just a matter of how we are using it all over the world. So I want to show you some spices today, but you can choose other spices compared to other kinds of meat. Today we are using pork. It's the classic one, and I have 1 kilo of grounded pork, 2 pounds, and I want to put this in my bowl. A good thing always to check your meat when you get it. Of course, you think you bought it fresh, but sometimes stuff can go wrong in at a butcher, so there can be some sort of bacteria, and then they can just be worse and worse. So always smell to your meat. If it not smells bad, if it smells freshly, then it's good. I want to take a tablespoon, and in this case a little one, because then it's easier to mix in this bowl. And I can already see now that I got a too little bowl. We just upgraded. So I have the grounded meat here, and I want to add the flour. And I have 1 kilo, as I said, of grounded meat, and for that I want to use 200 grams of flour. But I like to split that in two and take the one half of normal white flour and the other half of oatmeal, because this is not so fine and it gives a very good consistency in the meatballs. So down with this, and then you just have to mix very, very good. And of course you can make this on machine, but that's not as fun as this. Alright, so as you can see now, it's totally mixed, and it's very, very firm. It's very, very hard, and that's very good. We want to add some salt, and it's always a matter of how salty you want it to be. I will take like 2 teaspoons of salt in this one to start with. And it may sound funny, but always taste this before you fry it. Or you can just fry a little one and then taste it afterwards. But I don't know how it is in other countries, but we don't get sick of taste raw meat in that small amount. So, but it's not that delicious, I must say, but it's necessary. So mix this, mix the salt around as well. And for 1 kilo of meat, I have 5 eggs. And as I told you about a year ago, there's different sizes of eggs. In this case, I have small, medium eggs. If you have large eggs, maybe 4 eggs is enough. So the eggs is in, and I want to mix this as well. And then it's a little bit more soft than it was before, but we still need all the liquid to come in. Some of the main ingredients for meatball as well is onions, and I'm the kind of guy that always will tell you to cut your onions very fine and not blend it, because when you blend onions you get a lot of juice, and that juice can have an influence on the consistency of the meatballs, because here you have all the juice inside the onions, but if you blend it then it gets to a smoothie, and you don't want to have a smoothie in your meatballs. Don't make onion smoothie, just cut them fine. And then we mix again. Alright. Then you want to have some liquid. And in this case, we will use some kind of milk and then water. Milk makes it a little bit more creamy, and water, when you put water in a subject, in this case fricadella or meatballs, in other case like pancakes, when you put water in that kind of recipe, it makes it crispy when you fry it, because water have some kind of ability to make stuff crispy when you fry it. That's nearly the same if you make bread without oil. If you only have water and flour and yeast, then it's a very crispy bread compared to when you put something kind of fat, oil or butter in it. And that's the same case in this one. So in total we have 6 deciliter of liquid to start with, but never put it all in at the same time. Start with something and then make a decision when you have mixed it a little bit if it needs more. So I start with 2 deciliter of milk. and then 1 deciliter of water. All right. So, and that's why it's good to only put a little amount of the liquid in, because this is now a little bit too soft. When you turn your spoon in it, you can see it falls, it gets flat. So that means if you put this on a pan as a round ball, then it will be flat when it starts to fry. But there's a little twist, because this has to rest, and we have flour and oatmeal in it, and that will take some of the liquid, so it gets more firm when it has rest in the fridge. So I just want to put the spices in now, and then put it in the fridge in an hour to rest. And for spices, I want to get it some pepper. And we want it to taste of something. So. Some very fine pepper, and then 1 tablespoon of paprika, and then I ground it 1 tablespoon of allspice, and that's maybe the most important spice in this one. It tastes so good. All right, then it's mixed and ready to rest. So I have taken out the meat, and it's only been a half an hour, but it already looks very fine. So I want to make a test on the pan and to see how it tastes. I'm heating up my pan, put it on some medium-high heat. I use coconut oil. At the forum we had a discussion once about oil. Coconut oil is very good because it can do a lot of heat compared to olive oil, for example. Olive oil gets burned in the taste. This is very neutral in the taste, and then you can combine it with butter to get the good taste from that. So you get the good heating qualities and the good taste combined. So it's always important to have your pan quite hot. To put it on a cool pan would make the meat boil instead of frying, and you don't want to do that because it gets a bad taste. Make sure after the meat has rested to fold it a couple of times, so you are sure that once again all the flour and the liquid has mixed completely. So You want to have a quite hot spoon and filled with enough fat so that when you make your meatballs, it slips the spoon again. So up by hand. And then fold it in your hand so you have a nice what can you say, shape, a nice shape. I can hear my pan was not quite hot enough, but I think it comes in a while. So I will make just a little test to fry it and to see how it tastes. That's always important before you have made all this and then find out that it could have taken a little bit more salt. Alright, then my tasting is done. And I think it's quite good. You can use a little bit more salt and pepper, but otherwise it will be ready to fry. Very good. The thing I will do when I fry this is that I will not fry it completely done. As you can see, this one I made, it's still raw inside, and you can feel that by pressing on the top. When a meatball like this is soft, then it's raw in the middle. A good way to train that is by taking your hand, and when you are relaxed in your hand, you can press here and you can feel that you are very soft. That is the same consistency meat is having. So when meat is having the same consistency like this, then it's raw. Or for a beef, then it's rare. When you fold your finger a little bit and get a little bit more firm, then for a beef it will be medium. And when it's totally spent, then it's well done. Or for a meatball, it's done. So that's a good way to test how it is. Try it at home when you make this kind of stuff to take one, you know it's done, and then press at the top, and to take one to compare, you know it's raw inside, and then press at the top, and then you can feel the difference. It's a good way to test whether it's done or it's raw. But I want to fry it at both sides and then put it up in a pan and then bake it in the oven so it's done, because I have a lot of meatballs here. I know it's a big portion, but the good of that is when you find some grounded meat that is cheap, you can make a lot of these stuff and then put it in the oven, bake a big portion, and then freeze them in the smaller bags. And then you can take just a bag out and have for dinner. It's very easy. Have it with you in school or at work or something like that. It's very good. So I want to do that now, and I want to say thank you and remind you that you can make this kind of recipe with the same amount of meat, egg and flour and onion, just with any kind of food of grounded meat. So you can make it with beef, put some other spices in. It could be tomato, feta cheese and garlic. Be very nice. You could make it with lamb, make it with garlic and I forgot the name, rosemary and thyme, for example. And you can make it with chicken, grounded chicken, with thyme, apples, cranberries and cashew nuts. It's very delicious. So a sort of tips from here. Have a nice day and see you out there.